F.E.A.R 3 landed on my desk, I had to double check the box. There was no sign of the Monolith logo anywhere. Strange, I thought. A quick Google search revealed that Monolith didn't in fact even work on this game. As the development house behind this and the Condemned series, the studio has deservedly developed a reputation for properly delivering the creeps. So did the founding studio's lack of involvement have a grossly negative impact on this game? Fortunately, no. Any fears that I had about the game were quickly put to rest as Day One Studios managed to maintain the spooky atmosphere, solid shooting mechanics, and strange story elements that originally popularized the series. Plus, a few additions pop up that, while they may not be integral to the experience, help to nicely round out the game.
So, tell me, what does it feel like to kill your own brother? Can't say I enjoyed it very much.
If you finished F.E.A.R 2, then you might remember the all-too-disturbing sequence in which franchise poster child in creepy telekinetic ghost lady Alma engages in some non-consensual ghost sex with protagonist Michael Beckett. The result is a very pregnant Alma who, 9 months later, becomes the center of F.E.A.R 3's narrative. The game follows Point Man, Project Origin's first prototype, and his younger brother, Paxton Fettel. The two have a tenuous relationship at best. The end of the first F.E.A.R saw Point Man putting a bullet through the head of Fettel, killing him. But now he's back from the dead, both guiding and antagonizing Point Man as he makes his way to Alma, who, through the agony of her contractions, has created some kind of crazy paranormal reality terror that's causing all kinds of bad shit to go down in the town of Fairpoint, where the Armacham research facility is located. Initially, very little time is actually spent introducing these characters and events, so unless you have a pretty basic understanding of franchise linchpins, like who Alma is or the goals of Project Origin, F.E.A.R 3 will likely be disorienting. On the other hand, fans of the franchise won't feel like the game is holding their hand through needless familiarization. Probably the most significant gameplay addition to F.E.A.R, and the one that defines most of its design, is co-op. The game succeeds at its implementation in varying degrees. You can play through the entire single-player campaign with another human, either online or split-screen. Player 1 will control Point Man, who doesn't play any differently than your standard silent dude with a gun except for his ability to initiate a bullet time-esque power, which is pretty damn cool and extremely useful when dealing with large batches of enemies. Paxton Fettel, controlled by Player 2, is a much more atypical gameplay experience. His psychic powers allow him to temporarily inhabit an enemy's body. Additionally, Fettel acts as a support character for Point Man. He can lift enemies in the air, making them easy targets for Point Man, and he can cover Point Man with a protective shield. The gameplay dynamic between the two characters adds, at the very least, a thin layer of depth that's not present in most cooperative first-person shooters. However, if you decide to forego playing with others and want to solo the campaign, you can do that too. In fact, the 8 or so hour experience feels as though its difficulty was balanced for the solo player in mind. The game feels just about right on your own, as there will be no AI-controlled partner backing you up. But when you bring in a buddy, plowing through the game becomes a breeze. Given the game's significant focus on co-op, the lack of difficulty balancing feels kinda odd. If you've played a multiplayer-focused first-person shooter anytime recently, then you probably have a pretty good grasp on the Call of Duty-inspired metagame held within most of them. Gaining nebulous points, earning experience, and filling up meters has become just as much an integral part of the shooter experience as firing bullets and reloading guns. F.E.A.R 3 takes this a step further by heavily integrating these elements into the campaign. You earn points and level up by completing various challenges, such as getting 20 kills in a row, or staying behind cover, or picking up ammo, stuff like that. It's the kind of metagame that rewards you for pretty much everything. As you earn points and level up, you'll gain perks such as increased total health and larger ammo clips. This system, which also ties into the multiplayer, remains generally pretty inoffensive and in many cases may be the motivation you need to actually play through the campaign multiple times, adding some potential replay value to the game. With all that said, I think the most important aspect of F.E.A.R is also the best: the shooting. The different guns feel unique, and for the most part, it's just plain fun and satisfying to fill your enemies with bullets. I guess the word I would use to describe F.E.A.R 3's multiplayer is interesting. Rather than opting for traditional deathmatch-style multiplayer, F.E.A.R 3's modes seem more derivative of something like Gears of War's Horde mode or zombies in Call of Duty. In fact, One of the modes, called Contractions, is nearly identical to the Zombies mode. You and up to 3 other players must defend against waves of enemies while you're boarding up windows and collecting weapons. Another game mode is called Fucking Run. Yes, its name might feel like a desperate attempt to be edgy, but the mode actually does a great job of mixing up your traditional shooter gameplay. You and up to 3 players must make it from point A to point B while outrunning a wall of death and at the same time, combating enemies. It's a welcome change of pace from the shoot and duck behind cover formula that most shooters have today. F.E.A.R.'s long-winded combat scenarios are often broken up by hauntingly quiet strolls through creepy hallways and uninviting buildings. One level in particular, set in an abandoned department store, is particularly effective at messing with you as you walk through rows of eerily glowing TVs in a refrigerated butcher's room with slabs of meat hanging from the ceiling. Whether or not you're like me and actually pay attention to who develops the games you're playing, you'll be hard-pressed to find any major inconsistencies between F.E.A.R 3 and previous games in the series. And while the additions of features like campaign co-op and survival-based multiplayer are not unwelcome, it's the core aspects of F.E.A.R 3 that should be the reason you play this game. The reign of Day One as the team behind the F.E.A.R series can officially be deemed a success. Now, can someone please sign them up for a new Condemned title?